In the city of Moulton, crime is at an all-time high, with murder, robbery, and corruption ruling the streets. With its public demanding results in an end to crime, a task force was created to combat these vile criminal elements as they continue to plague the city. The squad was responsible for capturing the city's most wanted criminals, and we always got our man. The public called us the Crime Busters. The squad was led by me, Detective Jim Reed. Most people here call me Noire Reed. And in today's series of the Noire Files, we look at the swashbuckling rogue who fancies himself as a pirate, pillages cargoes from ships, whilst in a twisted mind still looking for the disappearance of his brother and his fiancée. This is the story of Drake Flynn, known to the world at large as Captain Hook. Case File 8, Captain Hook. Name, Drake Flynn. M.O. Kills people with a sword. Age, 30. Victims, 25 unconfirmed. Weight, average. Height, average. Brown hair, brown eyes. Status, alive, and his whereabouts is that he's locked up at Hard Time Penitentiary. Childhood. Flynn was born into a Russian family that immigrated to America and settled in Malton. Now, while the rest of his family spoke with a very heavy Russian accent, he didn't, along with his brother. His father worked on the docks, while his mother's worked as either once a waitress, then as a secretary. Now, at a young age, one thing that made Drake stand out amongst the rest of his family was his love of the old school theater. He used to love performing in plays. His favorite childhood play was Peter Pan, where he always played Captain Hook. He loved the action, the adventure, and being a sort of romantic rogue. Now, in school, he got along with everyone and was always seen with his big brother Peter. Right there is his brother Peter, and right there is Drake as kids. Now, Peter was the golden boy of the family. He was the favorite child, and he would always play games and joke around with Drake, and always made sure that he looked after Drake. And everything went well with these two. They were inseparable. Nothing could split them apart. Until one day, they ran into a woman. The girl's name was Wendy, as you can see here. When they both met her, they instantly fell head over heels for her. Now, the thing is, when Wendy first met the boys, she liked Jake. She really did. But she had always had her eye on. She always loved Peter. But despite that, Drake didn't know that, and just wanted to have that one shot with her, to date her, and found it extremely hard to get her because, well, Peter had a reputation at school as a bit of a ladies' man, and he knew he had his eyes set on her too. Now, Drake would do anything for her, and was always there for her during her worst of times. Then again, so was Peter, but honestly, compared to Peter, Drake was really there for her. Now, one day was the school dance, and Drake immediately wanted to ask her to the dance, but there was a problem. When he came to ask her, Wendy said that she had already been asked by Peter. Now, either out of jealousy or bitterness, that night, when Peter went to talk what had happened with Drake, a fight broke out in the bedroom. Peter won, but and won the fight, cleaned Jake up, and told him to cool off. He left for the dance with Wendy. The relationship between the two deteriorated after that night, and it would take years before that relationship could even be fixed. Now, when Drake graduated high school, he went to work on the docks, same as his father, while at the same time started acting in plays. He earned a reputation as a talented actor and eventually left the docks to become a full-time actor. He performed in 10 plays, won 3 Tonys, and was a media celebrity. He was seen in news media and photos everywhere in the news, the newspapers, the magazines, the internet, and there was always a pretty woman on his arm. But the one woman he always wanted was Wendy, but he couldn't get her. Eventually, he would meet Wendy years later, still with Peter, while at a party. He and Peter slowly, after months, began to rekindle their brotherly relationship. It's eventually during this time that he realized he had to let go of Wendy, especially since Peter was going to propose. He knew that what he wanted in the world was to make sure Wendy was happy. And so for him, he realized that the best thing for him to do was to finally let go. He gave Peter his blessing, finally put the past to bed, and Peter proposed to Wendy. She said yes. They were instantly married, and sadly, after that, that's where tragedy struck. You see, as a wedding gift, Peter wanted to take her on a cruise ship for their honeymoon, but couldn't afford it. I mean, he could, but not really. But Drake, having the money and being the best man at the wedding, wanted to really give him a wedding present. So he booked them a honeymoon cruise for the couple. Now, by that point in Drake's life, he was at peace, but tragedy struck. Peter and Wendy, while on their cruise, the boat sank, with them aboard. After that incident, Drake ruined their dance, and as a result, couldn't work properly, no longer being hired to do roles, no acting jobs coming in. He returned to the docks. Now, during this time on the docks, his life went a downward spiral, grieving the deaths of his brother, who he had now finally rekindled the broken relationship, and Wendy, the woman he loved, but let go for her own happiness, were gone. And in order to escape the pain and loss, he was constantly reliving his childhood when they were still around, and ignoring all the bad moments of those days. As a result, he would fashion the clothes he wore on the docks to that of Captain Hook's, and as a result, people on the docks called him Captain Hook because the way he dressed like him. Now, it was also during this time where he met a small-time hood on the dock by the name of Ben Seaman, aka Smee, a notorious criminal we would get to in another case file. Now, he and Smee hit it off and became friends. As a result, and thanks to Smee's influence, seeing his mental deteriorating state going down rapidly, manipulated him to sort of get involved more into the other side of the docks, the criminal work, being a tough guy, a sort of mob enforcer, and eventually muscling his way into the waterfront racket. He earned a reputation as a tough guy and eventually started forming his own mob, which were called the Jolly Roger Crew. You know, the pirate crew from the Peter Pan play that were led by Captain Hook, and Smears is number 2. It was a bit odd, and many people, well, knew he was crazy, but the guys thought he was actually Captain Hook. But they didn't care. He was making a lot of money, and he was spreading it out. He also earned the ability to really kill with the sword, and as a result, weak-minded people started joining his crew. He proved this skill with a blade when he killed a fellow tough guy by the name of Boris Ivan. A witness of the account explains, well, gives us the following.
What devil is it? For the pearl.
After that, he had formally earned himself as a reputation as a very influential member on the dock racket, and was even slowly just starting to start some competition with the Russians. Now, one day on the docks, come from some crazy, bizarre idea only from his own mind, he decided to start venturing in a new racket, literally hijacking ships before they even reached the docks. Now, this played into 2 reasons. One, when he would hijack them before they reached the dock as a sort of callback to the old pirating days, but at the same time, and as a result, they would sell the stuff on the black market for a very quick fortune. But also in a twisted way, he thought that he would somehow find Wendy and Peter, slowly starting to believe they were still alive and were still out there. He wanted to find them at all costs, and would do anything to bring them back. Now, as a result, we started getting reports of ships being hijacked and tons of bodies being killed. Now, how we got onto this case was when we were called in by a detective named Peter Gibbs. Yep, called us and helped us to consult on the case. We then came up with a plan to capture the men responsible for hijacking the ships. We got information from the underworld that the ship was carrying valuable cargo and was going to be hijacked that night. The crime busters and Peter, who I read his file and saw that he was a very good cop, very trustable, reliable, got him on board we got him on board the ship, waited for them to show up. Next thing you know, a fight broke out between us and the Jolly Rogers.
Under structure.
Now, we won the fight, but Hook, a small group of his boys, quickly managed to escape. Me, Peter, and Britt immediately followed him to their hideout. Now, when we followed to the hideout, we quickly got off the boat, but were quickly captured, and there we were face to face with Captain Hook, Smee, and what was left of the crew. Now, he had us tied up and was going to kill us by, I can't believe I'm saying this, walk the plank. Like I said, the guy thought he was an actual pirate. Now we managed to get untied, and one final fight between us and Captain Hook himself. After that fight, we managed to knock out Hook and his crew. We won, but Smee managed to get away. Like I said, his story will come in another time. Captain Hook was taken away, and most of the Jolly Roger crew. He was sentenced to hard time for 10 years for hijacking, but we couldn't prove he was responsible for killings. His influence on the waterfront was broken, and Peter, the detective, was rewarded for his help and was made the newest member of the Crime Busters. Captain Hook is still in his cell, and he swore revenge, just like everyone we put away there. But for now, another crime is gone, another crook looked up, and I, Noire Reed, call this case closed. Join us next time as we tackle another criminal in the Noire Files.